Money Mondays with Jeff, where we talk to dope financial professionals and real wealth builders to give first generation high income earners a money system that creates cash for now and cash for later. Let's jump into this tonight. I'm Jeff, the Wealth Builder, financial advisor, and strategist, and I help first generation wealth builders get control of their money, reduce and eliminate their taxes, and build indestructible wealth. That means that wealth that your name is proud of and that the next generation gets a head start because you left them something. And today I am joined by Buffalo's finest. This is Shomari A. James, a money mindset strategist and CEO, and we're talking about high income, still stress, the mindset shift that first generation wealth builders need to adopt and need to learn. So welcome, Shomari. Welcome to Money Mondays with Jeff. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm fantastic. If I was any better, I'd be you, man. But I appreciate you for having me on, man. Definitely. I know it's a lot of individuals you can have on the podcast. You're doing extremely well, doing great work. So I'm humble and honored to be here, man. Happy holidays as well, brother.
Thanks a lot. I am so happy to have you here closing out 2025. I saw a comment about 2025 and it said, but did you die though? And that had me cracking up.
Yeah,
So I'm saying that this has been a crazy year. This has been a year that felt like it's been 10 years, but it's
yeah,
only been one. So
yeah.
we're going to jump into this today. For the people that are meeting you and seeing you for the first time, tell us who you are, who do you help, and what you are known for so our people can get an understanding of the Shamari A. James, the Buffalo legend. Let them know about you, sir.
I appreciate it. Shomari killed James, originally, like you said, from Buffalo, New York. God-fearing man, family man, husband, father, son, uncle, brother, one who just absolutely loves the culture, man. A lot of individuals answer that question by giving their title, but that's not who you are. That's what you do. You know what I mean? So who I am is just a dude who fundamentally believes that a rising tide raises all ships. I happen to learn some things on my journey. Think and Grow Rich changed my life. And now I'm in a place where I can give back to the culture. So I spit it. We believe that everybody can go, obviously, but anybody that's listening, I believe that these aren't, easy steps to take. However, they're very simple steps. So as long as you are interested in what we have to say from a wealth building perspective, from a wealth and financial wellness perspective, then we're for everybody, man.
That's what's up. I love that. So tell us about your background in Buffalo and what was the big aha moment that you had that made you think that this wealth building thing was a track that you needed to be on.
Ooh, really good question. I think when I found out that there is um, money trauma and financial trauma, and that trauma sometimes is good and sometimes is bad because we automatically associate trauma with bad. And what that was for me was going into hardcore real estate because that's what my mom did. Like she was big on buying one house and then going to another house and then going to another house. So in the town, that's what I did. That's what I saw. That's what I did. And while it was making money for me, one day I got a phone call from my tenant. And I'm like, why are you calling me? They're like, because you're my landlord. But you know what I mean? But I realized that I couldn't do that. I realized that it wasn't for me anymore. And then I read the books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, Cash Flow Quadrant. And I looked up and said, this real estate thing in this way is just not for me. How else can I do this? And then I just started investing in the stock market. And to be honest, I saw this rich white guy, tall dude with a really nice car, had a Rolex on at this job that I was working at. And I said, how did you get there? He pointed at the screen while he was watching CNBC. And man, I never looked back. He introduced me to the stock market. I started playing around with my 401k. Then I met my mentor, shout out to Roger Struther. And I literally spent an entire summer at his house every single day learning the stock market. I never ever would claim to be a technician in the stock market. I just happen to have a gut to be able to pick the right companies at the right time. And that world opened me up, allowed me to bring in a level of revenue and income that changed our life as we started diversifying.
That's awesome. That's awesome. This community that we have, we specialize in helping first generation high income earners, and so when you think about that, right? When you hear about first generation high income earners, what do you think that they're carrying emotionally that most people don't see that's preventing them from really building wealth on their own terms?
Yeah, Jeff, you stay on point, brother, because a lot of the interviews that I come in and I talk about wealth building, we go right into, you know what I mean? Let's talk about how we get to the bag. But the first thing, man, your first question is right on point. What are you carrying emotionally? Financial wellness is the key. If you can't manage $5, you can't manage $500,000. So,
Say that again for the people in the back.
man, listen, if you are not financially well here first mentally, and you can't manage $5, you damn sure aren't going to be able to manage $500,000. So the first thing we got to do is make sure that we're looking at the trauma inside and making sure that we're financially well and whole. So that ground zero question, Jeff, is absolutely great. I believe we carrying pressure. We carrying guilt. We carrying fear of slipping back. We carrying like this unspoken contract with everybody that we love and everybody that love us, that we're not just earning for ourselves, we doing this for everybody else, and we're carrying generations on our back trying to prove that the sacrifice was worth it. You know what I mean? While at the same time being terrified that we could lose it all. So we're carrying a lot, man. And then the question is, what are you doing about it? How are you being well? How are you removing that from you? Are you praying? Are you eating right? Are you going to the gym? Are you having those conversations with your family members that, listen, this is what the will, this is what the trust looks like, and either you're in based off of these rules or you don't get to move forward in the process. So carrying a lot emotionally, and then the key is, what are we doing to make sure that we can get it up off of us?
I mean, I love that now because you're starting to see in this climate, especially a lot of us first generation high income earners, we're starting to have these kind of conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Because when sometimes you can feel like you're on an island all by yourself because nobody can relate to the pressures that you're dealing with, whether it's taking care of your mother, your father, you're taking care of your kids, you got student loan bills that you're trying to pay off, you're trying
Yeah,
to set up your financial future so people don't look at you and say, man, you was the first to do all these things. How did you end up here? So it's
yeah.
a lot that goes into all of that. So when you think about that, what do you think is the number one mindset trap that keeps high income earners stuck, even
Mm.
when they're doing everything else right?
Confusing motion with productivity, confusing income with progress. Just because you get into the bag and you got money coming in, that don't mean that you protect it with life insurance. That don't mean you protect it with a trust. That don't mean you protect it with a will. That don't mean that your money is counting and it's working for you. What other individuals have figured out is we're not going to get to a level of wealth that we deserve generationally through labor. We can't be omnipresent. So how can we take our money and make sure that our money is compounding and our money is making money 24/7? So you know what I mean? I think we get stuck sometimes because we take a look at this income coming in and we may be making more money than we've ever made in our lives. But if it's not compounded and it's not protected, and you're not keeping as much legally, keeping as much away from the tax man as possible, then you're confusing income with progress. You're confusing motion with productivity.
I know a lot of people who are making a lot of good money, and excuse me, sometimes I see them robbing Peter to pay Paul,
Absolutely.
even on a big high income, right? So, and a lot of times they like, man, I'm just in survival mode, and this is going on in like real life behavior. So, in your words, like what does it look like in survival mode with your spending and your savings, and more importantly, your decision making? Like, what does that look like for a first generation high income earner if they feel like they are in real life survival mode?
Yeah, another good dope question. You got all the tough questions for me tonight, man. You saved them all for me, huh, man?
I'll save them for the best. You know what I mean?
Appreciate it. I think the first thing, brother, is if you are in survival mode from a financial perspective, that's only the micro. You got to back up and look at the macro. That means you holistically are in survival mode. What you're doing all across multiple areas of your life is in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, that means you're fighting. When you're in survival mode, that means you're looking for the fight. And the universe is going to match energy, right? So if you are looking for the fight and saying something is always going wrong, it's always something, my life is always messed up, then that's what the universe is going to give you. So survival mode is up to you to be able to get out of it, to make sure that you push past survival mode into thriving mode. But to back up and let me answer the question explicitly, because I know this financial education thing is something we always want to talk about. But for me, it still goes back to the financial wellness piece, right? But specifically from a financial perspective, survival mode looks like reacting instead of planning. It looks like spending to recover from stress, right? I got a bag, I got some money, I feel bad emotionally and inside. I can afford it. I'm gonna go buy me a new car. I'm gonna go buy me a new this. I'm gonna go buy me a new that, right? Like making short-term decisions that feel safe today, but it's expensive in the long term. And then not thinking about in survival mode that you making that decision today is impacting your generational legacy. So two things. One, you got to make the recognition that survival mode is not just your finances. If you are in survival mode about your finances, you are likely in survival mode about a lot of different things in your life. And we need to make sure that therapy is no longer taboo. Go get help. Talk to somebody. Read some books. I'm gonna probably say it 10 times on this podcast. Go to the gym. Whatever it is that makes you feel good about you, go do it. And then number two, specifically about financial education and survival mode, make sure, going back to that other question, if you're bringing in some income, how are you planning to make sure that you're protecting that income?
Man, I tell you, that is so critical. I was having one of them days, like, I posted on my social media last week. I just had one of them days I couldn't do nothing right. Like everything that I was trying to do, it just didn't work out. So I just went cut break and went to the gym and I just took it out on the weights. I just, and it just made me feel so much better
Yeah,
afterwards because
absolutely.
it was just like a release of pressure. And that's why, I wrote, my latest book, the No BS, the basic No BS guide to building indestructible wealth, because a
Mhm.
lot of times, you making the money, but you don't have a system for how to keep it, how to protect it, how to preserve it, how to pass it along, how to
Yeah,
make sure that you don't get caught up in the lifestyle traps that, making money will typically put you into, because no
absolutely.
one's never given first generation high income earners a system for
Yeah,
what to do with the money. And
I
then I see um so many other earners, like, occasionally I would go and I take appointments and I go visit someone at their house, and
hmm
I'll drive up to the crib and I'm like, yo, they got the nice luxury cars outside. The house
hmm
is beautiful. And then when you get inside and you start talking about their finances, it's like, oh my God, they ain't got $1,000 between the both of them, and all the money is trapped into the 401k. And I'm like,
Exactly.
make it make sense to me. And that's
Exactly.
why it's so important. Like, it's so important that we keep having these conversations and keep talking so these barriers can get broken down, so people can get really good information that could change their financial situation. So one of the things that I see and one of the things that I hear is that so many high income earners, they feel like they are behind. They're
Mm.
like, yes, I got the good income.
hmm
Yes, I got the nice house. Yes, I got the degrees. I got everything that I need. But they feel like that, man, I'm making so much money, but I should be so further ahead than where I am right now. Can
Mm.
you talk a little bit about that? And what's really the mindset conflict that's underneath all of that?
Ooh, how long do we have, brother? Like
Come
that.
on, break it down. Get these people free.
Yeah, that's man, listen, that's so multifactorial. The very first thing that comes to mind is just because I can don't mean that I should. You know
Oh,
what I mean? So regardless of what happens in hip hop and the media and your friends, etc., man, number one, have a budget. I don't care how much money you make, you have. I have a billionaire friend that says he budgets to this day. He said, and the point of that is I have to ensure, regardless of how much money I have more coming in than I have going out. Period. So when we talk about this balling on a budget and things of that nature, we can't let that stuff sway us, man. Just because you can, don't mean that you should. But your finances, if there's like an unexpected bill or that credit card bill comes in more than what you expected it to, that's when that truth gonna be exposed. Like, I look successful, but I'm really fragile, right? Like, if you miss a paycheck or if there is a layoff, it's the 3 to 6 months of, you know what I mean? Can you have this income, et cetera? And folks go for those savings. And I'm not saying that that is not a big deal and that you should not have it. You should. However, if you have this five, six, seven, $10,000 home, you got this foreign car outside, you should be able to miss a paycheck. Not that you want to, not that that's a good idea, not that that's a good circumstance, but if you're able to afford these really nice things, you shouldn't be anxiety about your paycheck. You should be set up in a system that is productive, where your money is making money for itself, and you don't go to the club and buy bottles and pour them out just to compete with the section next to you, because you know what your budget look like and you know what your money look like, you know what your bag is. But if you're in a space where that anxiety is big, then that anxiety is bigger than your bag, and that could never be. That could never be. That means you look successful, but you're really fragile.
man, I'm telling you, that is so important. That is so huge. What you just hit there. A lot of times in my practice, I'm talking to my clients. The first things that I'm having them do, I like to call it the build their what if fund, because
Yeah,
things happen. You're
yeah,
gonna have some what ifs, and
yeah.
that budget thing. I know people hate to hear about budget, but it is real. And one of the things I like to reclassify it is like, don't look at it as a budget. Look at it as giving your money some directions. Because when you give your money some directions, it's going to go and do what you told it to do. If you don't give it
Absolutely,
no directions, it's going to do what it told you to do. So
absolutely.
it's so important that that is like, some of the things that we need to start to have more conversations of. And more importantly, especially in this environment that we're in right now.
Hmm.
2008 taught me a lesson as a financial advisor. I used to always say, "Oh, 3 to 6 months of your income you need to have, saved." That was like the line, that was
Hmm.
like the financial line. But one of the things I discovered in 2008 is that you need more than 3 to 6 months,
Absolutely,
because it might take the economy longer to turn around more than 3 to 6 months. You can
absolutely,
lose your job in an environment like today. You could
absolutely,
be making six figures and lose that job, and it will take you more than 3 to 6 months to find a job that's
absolutely.
paying you the same amount of money that you're making right now.
And
So I
and
read this.
and 3 to 6 months of what for what, right? So if you make $100,000 and you saving up that 3 to 6 months of that $100,000, well, does that $100,000 include your investments? Does it include your life insurance? Does it include your home? Does it include the things that you like to go out and spend? Because if you're overspending on your dollar, that 3 to 6 months and that $100,000 is not going to be enough, because you got credit card debt. And that
Well,
24, 30% gonna come due
and
every
and that's and I tell people all the time, what's the sense of putting all your money in the stock market and not having a what if account? Because if you get a what if, you're gonna have to take the money out of your stock market account. You're
absolutely,
gonna take the money out of your
absolutely,
401k. And it's
absolutely,
gonna hurt you more because now
absolutely,
that money is not compounding. So it's
absolutely.
so important to have those money rules, especially for what if, because things happen. So
Hmm.
give your money some directions so
Hmm.
that you can financially win no matter what happens in your life.
Yeah,
Um, I want you to talk about something right quick. And we're talking to Shomari James, Buffalo's finest money mindset strategist, CEO. I mean, he has a dynamic nonprofit that I want him to talk about a little bit later. But he's a real deal, and I'm so happy that he's here on this session with us tonight. But we want to
appreciate
just
it.
dive into a little bit more deeper, because I want you to talk about this money thing because
Mhm.
some people think that having money and being responsible with money is one thing, but then being strategic with money is another. So can you
Mm.
talk about the difference of money and what being responsible with money looks like, and then what being strategic with money looks like as well?
Yeah, really good question. I'm gonna actually take your words on this, brother. Strategic is you having direction for your money, is you telling your money where to go, to have a strategy. And that strategy, what I say, it's 3 to 5 years, right? Like, obviously, we don't want to miss the 0 to 2 window, but strategic is forthcoming of what is happening long term, strategically with every dollar before it actually shows up. And what does that look like for me as far as me building a bench as far as my family is concerned, as far as my businesses are concerned? Because if I'm taking a look at this macro view of where I want to be in life ultimately with my generational wealth and passing it down, then that's the strategic decisions I'm going to have to make from a reverse engineering perspective to
Mm,
ensure that my money is making money for me over the long term. I
mm.
literally just had a conversation with my wife and my cousin today. And I said, in 5 years, what I'm doing right now, while I absolutely love it, I bet not be in the same seat. I better not still be CEO. There better be a president. I better have moved on to the board, the advisory board, etc. So if then that's the case, and I know that's what I want to do, well, then strategically, how am I mapping my dollars and my money to meet that goal? That's the strategic part of being strategic with money. Now, I don't want to make it sound bad. Let me say that at first, right out of the gate, when I start talking about being responsible with money. Because being responsible with money right out the gate, listeners, don't get me wrong. It is not a bad thing to be responsible with money, right? However, it is not the same as being strategic. Responsible is paying your bills on time, is making sure that you have a good credit score. So the one thing that I talk about in my organization is, are you an anchor or are you an engine? Right? So sometimes you need to be an anchor, right? Paying your bills on time and being responsible is an anchor. It keeps you grounded, it keeps that boat there where you need to be. So being responsible and paying your bills on time is absolutely okay, but it's not the end all be all, and it should not be the place that you leave your money. You have to first make sure that you're responsible with money. And in being responsible with money, you have a budget. Just because you can, don't mean that you should or that you will. And then once you get that locked in and you build that habit of being responsible, it's time to move from being an anchor to an engine. And that engine is that strategic part. I'm pulling up that anchor because I got this locked and loaded. Now I'm an engine and we moving this thing forward. And now we're building generational wealth. So being responsible as a foundation and having that locked in is really good, but you can't stay there, right? You cannot. Money, life, generational wealth has to be kinetic. It cannot just be potential. And that kinetic moving is that strategic telling your money where you need and want it to be based off of what you believe wealth building is for your individual situation.
That's awesome. I just want to add on to that too. Is like when you talk about being strategic and being responsible, like the responsible thing to do is to allocate monies, like to make sure that you are paying your bills on time, to make sure that you're doing your retirement planning, to make sure that you creating some money babies. We like to call that passive income money babies. But being strategic now is like, okay, now you built the wealth. How are you going to preserve it? How are you going to protect it? How are you going to enhance it so you can enjoy it? And how can you keep more of the money, for you and less to the money to the financial institutions and to the government? Because taxes and fees are going to be two of the biggest things that's going to eat up your wealth building that you are doing. So when you're being strategic, is how are you keeping more of the money that you created for the ledger that you have already accumulated and built. So I like how you put that together, with the anchor and things. That was fantastic breakdown. I want you to talk a little bit about something that I had many, many many, did I say many years of having to overcome this. And sometimes I still slip up. Sometimes I'm still slipping up because being the first one in the family, I'm the youngest of 8 kids, the first one to graduate from college, the first one to become a real estate investor, the first one to open up the own business, the first. That's me. And sometimes when those family pressures creep in, when brother, sister, cousin, niece, nephew, when they call, it's been times I felt obligated that because I was successful, that I had to help them. So I had all of these guilt and pressures, especially around my family, and
Mm,
had to deal with that until one day I had a discovery when I first got out of college, and
mm-hmm,
I was in my entrepreneurship journey, and
mm-hmm,
I needed help, and I didn't have nobody in the family to help me.
mm,
So that's when the aha light bulb
mm-hmm,
went off. I
mm-hmm.
just want you to talk a little bit about, you know, those, if you're a first generation and you are building wealth and you're the first one in your family, like how does the family expectations like quietly can sabotage your wealth building goals and dreams?
Yeah, another really good question, brother. It goes back to the wellness, bro, and this is typically a tough one for the culture, man. Being in that
Like I said,
state,
I still deal with it. I thought I was overcoming it, but sometimes I
yeah,
slip up, and I
yeah,
find myself being an enabler, a financial enabler
yeah,
sometimes too.
yeah. It's hard, man. So, in answering this question, there is no one way, man. And I also don't want to answer the question and want individuals to feel I'm speaking from a place of privilege or speaking down on individuals because it's hard. And family pressure and survivor's remorse, it kind of quietly turns your generosity into obligation, into um, individuals and yourself feeling like you have to because, right? Then you get to a point where you start, you know, rescuing individuals instead of providing resources to individuals and under investing in individuals, and then they can become used to it, right? So it's really tough. And what I'll say as well is at Equity Now or all of our organizations, fundamentally, we believe that, you know what I mean? It is their birthright, right? Like nepotism is your birthright. Who else would I give a contract to if it's not my son who is qualified, knows the business, and can come in and do it? So, not just because that is my son, but because it is my son and my son is qualified, right? So, fundamentally believe that that is the case. But the trickiness in that, the gray area in that is being able to hold that line, right? So if he cannot do it, then that means I have to have the stomach to say, hey, listen, here is the opportunity. Can you do this? Let me see what those credentials look like. And if you cannot, then I cannot provide you these resources because everybody can't go. However, everybody can play a role, they can play a part. So, what does that look like from 0 to 100? Because what we can't do is ultimately delay our own generational wealth building because somebody is blood or a married cousin. We have to continue going. Now, that does not mean that if we run in this race at 200 miles an hour and somebody falls off because something happened to them, that we just leave them, right? That's not the case. That's not the case. However, we have to be consciously competent based off the individual, their skill set, who they are, their own wellness, and then do they have actual love for the organization, the mission, for you, generational wealth building, and what you all are trying to accomplish together. And if then that's the case, okay, I'm gonna give you a chance to have this reset, and we gonna spin the block and come back and get you. But you got to discern that. You got to find the individuals who are family and make sure that those individuals are locked in with the same fervor, the same decision making, the same way they want to get to generational wealth building, and then pour into those individuals and make sure that those individuals are pouring into themselves. Otherwise, ultimately, it's going to feel like betrayal on both sides.
I love the way how you mentioned and broke down nepotism because I think that especially as black folks, as we would say, this is one of the things that we should be, I believe, practicing more. And one of the greatest enjoyments that I have as a business owner was being able to practice nepotism in business. To
Yeah.
be able to have a family friend who has great kids, who were raised well, who had good manners and good morals, to be able to give them a job without having them to have to go through anything, and to be able to support them financially as they are building, developing, growing on their journey as well. Because when you look back at a lot, especially what goes in America, it's a lot of nepotism that's going
Absolutely.
on.
Absolutely.
Getting jobs and going to colleges and the whole nine yards. So that's why I think it is so important that we be able to understand the dynamics of what these family pressures and these family guilts are, so we
Yep.
could be able to operate in them and be able to navigate. So ultimately, we'll financially win in those situations.
and and
But
and and not make it a bad word. Like somehow black folks have adopted because we've watched the others have nepotism, so now we feel some type of way about it and make it let what they eat don't make me poop. Now, what they eat don't make me shit. You know what I mean? So go do what you're gonna do and leave me alone. I'm not asking for diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm asking for ownership, and then I'm taking it. So 40 acres and a mule. I'm not waiting on Superman because he's not coming. And then if he do come down, he blonde haired and blue eyed anyway, bro. Now that doesn't mean that individuals who look like that don't necessarily help us, that they're all bad. Absolutely not the case. However, what I'm going to do is make sure that me and mine are absolutely okay before I start worrying about what somebody else is doing in their household or their business.
man, that ownership thing, we're gonna have to start preaching and practicing and screaming that more than anything, because when you own, you control. And
Absolutely.
that's one of the biggest things that we have not been having those kind of conversations, especially in the wealth building circles, in quite a long, long time. And I think that that was a lot of that was lost, when we went through black the whole destruction of Black Wall Street and things of that nature. But we have to revitalize that energy and that movement about ownership, because
Absolutely.
ownership is key.
Absolutely.
Ownership is key. And
Absolutely.
that's one of the things that when you have a money system and you understand how to implement a money system and how to make sure that you control everything and be in ownership of things that help you to propel to the next level. So,
Agree.
and if you don't own, you got to be able to control. So it's a lot of
Absolutely.
ways in different structures that you can have that to be the owner, not on paper, but still control everything as well. So
Absolutely.
I'm glad you wrapped that in about that.
Appreciate it.
We're talking to Shomari James, A. James, I'm sorry, Buffalo's finest, money mindset coach, money mindset strategist, CEO, all around dope financial individual. I'm thankful to have him here on Money Mondays with Jeff. And what's one belief you hear all the time that
Mm.
sounds smart, but is actually really expensive long term?
I think I would say well, when you asked the question, the first thing that came to mind was my son is 25 March 9th, and my daughter is 21. No, March 1st. I cleaned it up, son. March 1st. And my daughter is 21 January 9th. And individuals will tell you to wait until you're ready to have kids. Man, you ain't never ready to have kids, man. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you're never ready. You're never rich enough. You're never smart enough. You've never read enough books, right? I think it's the same belief when I talk to individuals when I'm coaching folks and they say, well, I'll invest more or I'll invest like later when I'm more stable. What does that mean? Like, don't let perfection be the enemy to good to build a habit around building wealth, because it's not just about investing and how much you invest. It's also about being in a mindset and a mind frame and wellness that you have built the actual habit of investing, right? Like this is not necessarily for the culture a norm for us. Well, even if I just speak for myself, right? Like I wasn't thinking about no stock market, even though my mom was into real estate, it still wasn't natural. Like tax codes, like all of this shit is hard, bro. You know what I'm saying? So you're always going to be learning. The day you stop learning is the day you no longer exist. So I think when individuals say, I'll invest later when I'm more stable, it sounds smart, but not only is it expensive, but it's also just allowing perfection to be the enemy to good and delaying your generational wealth building.
Perfection being the enemy to good. Wow.
Mm.
You hit me right there. You punched
Appreciate
me
it.
right there. You
Appreciate
slapped me right there
it.
because
Don't do perfect, man. We're not concerned about perfect, man. We're concerned about good. We're concerned about progress, man.
I
Every
can't
single
tell you how many times perfect messed me all up because I had
yeah,
to be perfect
yeah.
because so many people were watching and so many people were listening, so many people wanted to have the experience, and I just had to make sure that it was perfect. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that perfectionism it stops creativity because
Mm-hmm.
you sit on great ideas. And the only way that you're going to get it right is by trial and error. It is no perfect way of doing anything.
Not at all.
Everything is about you getting out there and doing it, because getting out
Absolutely.
there and doing it, you're going to learn what to do and you're going to learn what not to do. There's no
Absolutely.
perfect scenario for anything. That's why I always tell people just start.
Mm-hmm.
Just start, because you're
Mm-hmm.
going to learn and more in the process than anything.
Mm-hmm.
But you hit me with that
Appreciate it.
perfectionism. Oh
Appreciate
Lord,
it.
Lord have
I
mercy. Well,
spoke to your soul right
I'm
there,
gonna have
huh, man.
nightmares tonight on that perfectionism thing. Oh, because I'm guilty. I
Yeah,
am guilty. But
yeah,
I'm overcoming it now
yeah,
because it's just
yeah.
about doing it.
Yeah, and a lot of us are, brother, because the culture has been judged for having the wrong answer quite often with systematic racism and oppression. We're not allowed to have the wrong answer because we're in a system that pushes us. If we don't have the right answer, we're oftentimes penalized, and ultimately, what the penal system looks like for Black men in America, Black women in America, BIPOC individuals in America is very negative. So that the micro of what happens with that from a macro perspective is really big on us from a wellness perspective. We got to get over being perfect. We
And
don't have
especially
to.
from a financial perspective too, because
Absolutely,
you feel like you got to be perfect because you might not never get another chance at this.
absolutely,
You might
absolutely,
only be able to fail. You can't fail like everyone else has failed. You
absolutely,
know, you fail,
absolutely,
and a lot of times we are doing all of this with our own money, and
absolutely,
sometimes it's like it's not a big runway
absolutely,
for failure when you're doing it. So you tend to overanalyze everything. Well, at least I know that
everything,
was my case. I
everything.
overanalyze everything, especially being a chess player. Well, what happens if this go right? What happens if this go wrong? I got to do
Yeah,
this and that, and plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. If this didn't work out, and it just kept me paralyzed.
absolutely.
And I'm an overcoming perfectionist. I needed to go to what they call them little classes when you Alcoholics Anonymous
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
Narcotics Anonymous.
yeah.
I
Like
needed to
the
go to one of
anonymous
them
you made.
perfection.
Perfection Anonymous. Yo, but that's why I teach in the methodology when I'm coaching individuals. It's not about the dollar amount, because I know what a part of the skepticism is. I don't have a lot to lose. I'm not asking you to invest a lot. What I'm asking you to do is take $5 to build a habit to learn the system, like you said earlier, the proven systems and building the systems. Because if you start with that $5 and you learn it at that $5, now that $5 that you can manage, now you can manage $500,000. So put down the actual, I'm going to lose a whole lot of money. I want you to build the system to make sure that within that system, no matter how much you're putting inside that system, it's going to be okay because you've built a habit and you've learned.
And we also got some spiritual instructions as well. God always going to see if what you're going to do with the little before He gives you a lot. Anyway,
Absolutely.
so that's
Absolutely.
where it's so much important. And while we're talking about this, like, can you like share or elaborate like what's a daily or a weekly practice that someone can start to do to kind of rewire their mind in the way that they think about things, especially with their money, because so many people they're in this trap where they spend unknowingly and excessively because of things like they say, "Oh, I deserve this. I worked so hard. I deserve to go and buy this brand new car. I worked so hard. I deserve to take that vacation. I worked so hard. I deserve to have the Gucci belt or whatever the materialistic thing is." And then that rewiring process from I deserve to have it to I'm building with discipline. Like what's some daily or weekly rewire that someone can have that can take them from that I deserve it spending to I'm spending with discipline kind of methodology.
Yeah, really, really good question. So the consistency and discipline. So discipline starts with honesty, not restriction, right? So when you're disciplined and you're being disciplined, it's about being honest with yourself first. So like a daily practice, man, wake up every day, every morning and thank God for life. Period, point blank. Just hands down, full stop. And then after that, ask for discipline. Ask God for honesty. Ask God to show you truth right
Mm.
out of the gate before you get out of bed, right? Because now I am seeking knowledge from the wise one. I am seeking knowledge from God. I am seeking, let these be your words and not mine, God, to give me the opportunity to look introspectively inside of myself, to be honest with myself so I don't lie to myself and lie to other people. Because I don't need that Gucci belt. I want that Gucci belt. And if you can get to that place where you can out loud say that, shit, I can afford it. It's not that I need it, I want it. And if it looks like today's paycheck, I'm gonna buy it, then I'm gonna eat this one today. You know what I mean? So if you're on that honest track and you choose not to be disciplined, now we're making a consciously competent decision to do that. But then when we get to that place, we got to hold ourselves accountable to say, hey, look, this discipline starts with me being honest about myself and not restrictions. And what gets measured makes progress. So, you know what? I'm going to go through the month and I'm going to take account for all of the decisions that I made, me being honest with myself. And I'm going to do a leading indicator, look at it to say, what do month? And then I'm going to do a lagging indicator. And then I'm going to divide it up to see where, I said 5 things that I want. You bought 5 out of 5. You were 100% effective in not sticking towards your budget. What gets measured makes progress. Write it down, document it, take a look at it. I'm not saying that we not gonna go get the Gucci shoes because we are. Let's not lie to ourselves, right? Like let's be 100% honest and a buck with ourselves. But then if we take 3 to 6 months and that line is not moving and we still consistently making those bad decisions, we being honest with ourselves and we're not restricting some of the decisions that we know that we need to make. So therefore, it goes back to that wake up. Dear God, listen, you gave me discipline. You gave me the look into myself to be honest. And I know honesty and discipline is not necessarily restriction, but dear God, I need a little more assistance. I need to move on this. I'm looking at, I'm just not doing what I need to be doing. Give me the strength to not try and compete with my counterparts, with competing with what I see on social media. So if you just take a look and you literally just journal, you write it down, put it on the edge of the bed, put it in your phone, and you actually take note of what your actual behaviors are, and then you go back and take a look at your own behaviors. No shame, not shaming, but you can take a look at what you are actually doing and say, okay, damn, do I want to get better or don't I? What gets measured always makes progress unless you just literally are an individual who are not interested in being better at all whatsoever.
What get measured always makes progress. I
Absolutely.
like that.
Always.
So on that thought, right? What's the fastest way that someone can move from motivation, because that's very motivational, to really getting a structure for having that kind of mindset so that they can stop starting over every single month. A
Yeah.
lot of people think and they do things and then they stop and go. They do this stop and go, especially with wealth building and saving money, and even in your mindset, because what you say to yourself when you talk to yourself matters.
Yeah. Oh,
So how do we help people get from motivation to structure where they
good
don't have
question.
to be starting over every single month?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm blessed, man. My degree is in industrial engineering. I'm lean and Six Sigma problem solving, continuous improvement certified. And the reason I bring that up is because the work that I do, the reason I say I'm blessed, I actually went to school, and the things that I learned in school applies today, right? So if your system depends on willpower, we are human beings. It will consistently fail, period. You cannot, right, as a human think based on the things that we do every single day, just being human, that if you set up a structure that is primarily dependent upon people, that it will be long-term successful. So in order to have structure, to move from willpower, because structure and automation will beat willpower every single day. Now, that may sound like some smart words that made no sense, but breaking it down,
I got you.
automate the decisions. It don't matter if I decide to take $5 out of my bank account and transfer it today because I feel like it, if I do it right in my paycheck and I set it up with my bank for automatic deposit. It don't matter if I wake up and I got the flu and I can't get to my phone because I've already automated it. It's already done. So now you're moving away from how you feel and the emotions of it, and just naturally being a human who oftentimes respectfully and understandably lose willpower, and you're putting it into a structure because you've automated it, because you know what? That system, that banking system, and the way you set up that automatic deposit, it don't care how you feel that day. It's going to happen. So the more we can automate, especially with the power of AI, these banking systems, I'm not going to name any specific banks because they don't pay me enough. They are set up. You can split your check up 4, 5, 6 different ways, man. Like that check, you can have $10 come out and go into a high money market. Another $10 go into a life insurance policy. Another $10 go into an investment account automatically. Now, obviously, you got to budget, do your research, make sure you got enough coming in with enough going out that you can afford that automation, but automate it, man. How much of that can you automate so it is automatically happening? So regardless of how good or bad of a day you're having, it's going to happen anyway.
And that's why it's so important for people to come to the financial education boot camp on January the 17th, because you talk about money automation in my book. For all of the attendees that's going to come, you're going to have a money automated system. We've put a money management system in the book to help you to financially win. And if you come to the financial education boot camp and the launch of my new book, The Basic No BS Guide to Building Indestructible Wealth, you're going to have a money management automation system already there. Only thing you got to do is read it, understand it, and apply it, and set it and forget it. And then apply the things that you're going to learn. And one of the things I'm also happy about is that Shomari is going to be there. And I want you just to let them know a little bit about what you're going to be teaching on January the 17th, so that these people need to be like, I need to go get my ticket right now because I don't want to miss this session.
Yeah, go get that ticket right now because I'm taking it to ground zero, man. I'm building the foundation, and the foundation is financial wellness. That you have to have a level of clarity, openness to do your inner work for financial wellness if you want to get to generational wealth building. If you still have not dealt with your parents telling you you got champagne taste and bare pockets, Your parents telling you that this is a grown folk conversation. Your parents telling you that money don't grow on trees, right? If you're still dealing with those levels of insecurity and trauma, and you're not asking real questions to yourself about yourself with real accountability, then you're not going to get to generational wealth. Now, you might make some money. You might get the right life insurance policy. You might hit the right stock. But once again, man, if you can't manage $5, you can't manage $500,000. And if you quote unquote hit it big in one of those, then what does that look like? How do you make that multifactorial? How do you make sure that your grandchildren's 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 children are living off of what you did? And I believe that unless you fundamentally have dealt with your financial wellness, you can't effectively, productively build generational wealth that you will pass down to and through your children and your family.
All I got to say is you better get your ticket. BasicWealthTour.com. Go get your ticket. We're doing a special until the end of the year. If you buy a ticket, you will get a free ticket on me to say, because they said that 2025 was Did You Die Though? So I wanted to end it on a good note and say, no, you didn't die though. And you're going to bring a guest for coming to the Basic Financial Education Boot Camp and Book Launch. You can bring someone free with you if you get your ticket before 2025 ends. So that's the offer. You're going to hear Brother Shomari James is going to be here. We got some other dynamic speakers. We're going to feed you. You're going to have a 3-course lunch. You're going to get a copy of my new book. You're going to hear my proprietary money management system that you can automate. We got some special prizes that we're going to be giving away. And the only thing that is missing is you. I mean, we said a whole lot today. Lot today.
Yeah, brother.
Because we about this life. We've been doing this for a long time. Yeah. We want to see people financially win. And a lot of times it's about, getting over those little financial hurdles and getting yourself a money system for you to really build something that your name is going to be proud of. Sure. I have these big, images in my head about how my kids and their friends are going to be coming and they're going to be like, who was that guy? Who the big guy right there in the picture? Oh, that was Jeff the Wealth Builder. And we got all of this because of all the things he did 50, 100, 20, 100 years ago. Yeah. They still going to be eating off of the things and the systems and the money and the wealth building and the passive income strategies, the things that we learn in real estate, the things that we learn in the stock market, the things that we learn in crypto, the things that we learn in life insurance. All those things are going to be still feeding the family members. So it's important that you get your money mindset together so that you can be able to put together a financial system that your kids and their friends are going to be proud of what you've accomplished, because they're going to know your name because you left them something. You left them some money, you left them a money system, and you left them some assets that now them assets are still creating money babies in your name because you did it. Got a couple of quick questions for you, little rapid fire. Let's just change the tone up a little bit. What's one money habit that you will stop doing immediately?
Me personally, or what I think for the culture?
You personally.
Man, while I talked about that budgeting and that accountability piece, man, listen, we come from kings and queens, man. I like my jewelry. I like my gold teeth. I like my Rolex. I like my necklaces, man. I could probably, step back a little bit, maybe not buy, not buy one thing, slow down a little bit. But I like designer, man. I like my.
It ain't nothing wrong with that. I like designer too. I'm a big boy. I like to do big things. I like to play hard. I like to work hard. I like to travel hard. I'm a foodie. I like to do all those different things. But I like to have the money babies to pay for all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? You get your money babies.
Absolutely.
Get the money babies up so they can pay for them luxuries. That because somebody's gonna have that luxury. Why not you? It's just make sure that your money babies pay for it.
Why not me?
That's
you know
right.
What I mean?
What's your biggest money myth? Go.
Go on. That throwing more money at it will fix it. That's never the case. Got to have a system, got to track it. But you know what I mean? A lot of people think when you get a lot of bread, you just keep throwing more money at it and things are going to go away and you still going to get rich. And that's just not the case.
Last one. What's your investment mode in one sentence?
Ooh, one sentence. Um, make decisions today that your future self don't have to recover from. In order to do that, make sure you measure every single step of the way, because what gets measured makes progress.
That's right. Mine's is save money before you spend money, then you always have money.
Like that too, baby. That too,
So
baby.
Shamari, I
Yeah.
appreciate you, brother. Tell people where they can find you, how they can follow you, how they can learn more from you, and just tell them to come to January 17th. You're gonna come all the way down here to South Jersey and to bless the audience to give them some more of your money mindset magic. I really appreciate you. So let people know where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can learn more from you.
Yeah, first off, man, let me applaud you, man. When I was growing up, we didn't have this, bro. So for you to be on this platform when we know you good, right? Like, you know what I mean? Flowers to you. You don't have to be doing this. You choose to do this for the culture, man. So my push for you, the people, the listeners, the attendees, the individuals who want to learn something. When I was growing up, I didn't have individuals like myself. I didn't have individuals like Jeff. They were few and far between, but now it is readily available for you to be able to come get this knowledge and make sure that you progress and you move. And we can't dictate what wealth and rich means for you. It might mean something completely different. So you don't come get the knowledge to be me or to be Jeff. You come get the knowledge to be your best for you and for your family. So that's the first thing, man. Like, shout out to you, all love. You cannot not come to this thing when you can be able to access individuals like us that's giving you the game basically for free, man. So pull up on us, man. As far as Shomari A. James
Pull
is
up
concerned,
home me.
okay. All right, my bad, my bad. You got something from me? Uh-oh. I ain't hear you. Oh, my bad. I didn't hear you. What'd you say? Oh, you said pull up on me. My bad, my bad. I didn't hear you. My bad. You said pull up on me. My bad. I thought you were throwing one in there. As far as I'm concerned, I'm Shomari A. James. I'm Shomari A. James on most social media. My Instagram is Shomari_A_James. You can also follow me at equitynowinc.org. You can find me all over, man. If you Google me, man, I'm gonna come up. I'm in the community. I don't hide. I've had the same cell phone number, you know what I mean, since, man, listen, I was in college in the 2000s. So Shomari, Shomari_A_James. Just hit me up. Just Google me. I do answer all my DMs. That is me on there. It's not somebody else checking it. But if you hit me up on LinkedIn, yes, that is my EA checking that, because LinkedIn is a little wild. You know what I mean? So pull up on us. We're going to have some fun, man. We're going to do some learning. And the one thing you're going to learn about me real quick is I'm going to keep it a buck and 100 all day, because I'm about my people. A rising tide raises all ships, and I'm for the positive progression of the culture. If not us, then who? If not now, then when? Let's go.
I love that. And I just want to end on this because I think relationships are more valuable than currency,
For
more
sure.
valuable than money. I had the opportunity of meeting brother James at InvestFest. He had
Yeah.
a big old presentation and I was sitting there, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this was so good." And him and
Yeah.
his team, they did an awesome job. They gave some great
Yeah.
information. They empowered a lot of people, a lot of minds in the building. And I was like, "Man, this is one brother I want to get to know because we want to create in a community where financial education is sexy, where
For sure.
building wealth is sexy,
For sure.
when having nice things and living the fine luxuries of life is sexy. It
Yeah.
ain't, and it's it's funny because when one of the things that I remember that you reminded me of was one of my first mentors. God rest his soul. His name was Clinton Lewis, and he used to
Mm-hmm.
always tell me that it is fun making money. He used to say
For
that all the
sure.
time. He
For
said it's
sure.
fun making money.
Yeah.
He said, but you got to know what to do with it when you
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah.
So, and you just reminded me of him. So I'm so happy that we were able to connect, and
And
we can bring some things to elevate and push the culture forward so that we can all financially win. At the end of the day, that's where my heart is. I want to see everyone financially win because it's enough money out there for all of us to eat
absolutely.
and all of us to eat well and be at the buffet table, and we don't have to be at the dollar menu.
That's right.
I'm Jeff Moore, and I approve of that message. Anything else you want to leave? Anything else you want to depart with before we say goodbye to our audience today?
I'm good, man. They gotta pull up on us. I'm driving up, man. I'm gonna bring wifey with me. I'm gonna be suited and booted. Let's get it, man. Let's get this bag.
Let's go. www.basicwealthtour.com. January 17th. Come see the man, the myth, the legend live. January 17th at Maggiano's in Cherry Hill, New Jersey for the Basic Financial Education book launch and boot camp. It's going to go down. So I look forward to seeing you guys come up and come and share with us and come and be in this financial education environment where we're going to empower you to financially win. Have a great day, guys. This has been Jeff Moore, Jeff the Wealth Builder, Money Mondays with Jeff. I'll see you next Monday.